So I'm going to make the correction. Now I'm going to do a powder contour here. Why do I contour with powder? Why am I teaching you how to contour with powder? Listen up. It's almost impossible for me to mess up. So if you guys are going to do a cream contour, you have to study a lot. You have to study a lot the application of that. With cream contour, if you put your finger a millimeter above or below, it can mess up your makeup. So the powder contour gives more or less the same look as our cream contour. And its application is easier. Its application is almost impossible to get wrong. It's very simple. It's quick, more practical. So today we're going to do the powder contour. I'm using a bronzing powder. It's a powder that has some shades on the skin. It could be a matte powder, and you can also use a powder with a bit of shine, which is the case with this one here that I'm going to use, which is the Swellen powder, Swellen brand. And everything I tell you, what I always tell my clients, to my students in my courses, is there a way to save on some products? Yes, we have to choose to try to economize on products that are not going... How am I going to explain this to you? It's not about importance or less importance. Is it going to have so much contact with our skin? Swellen's brand is wonderful. It's a national brand that I use a lot with blush, contour powder, bronzer, bronzing powder of that brand. So we achieve, as it is a national brand, of course, we're going to pay a little cheaper than if we buy a powder contour from an imported brand. And they are products that we can really buy nationally. And we are not going to take the risk of having... We're going to set a shorter duration because we are using a national product. The nationals are also very good. What I'm talking about is the issue of importing, of having a base better worked with more advanced technology, because the vegan base goes directly to our skin. It will look better. Well, if this will be in contact with our skin for 24 hours, the base. Then you see that after the base, after the concealer, after we apply the powder, so we can try to save on that part of the powders that we are going to use on our face. Eyeshadow is a bit difficult because we have to think about the eyeshadow's pigmentation. It can be cheap, it can be expensive, it can be national or imported, well pigmented. There's no problem at all. I also have shadows of various values from various brands. And I only analyze the pigmentation when buying. I apply pigment. I thought it was pretty. That's how I'm going to take it. So always be aware of the powder products, which is where we achieve economize, comply with a national brand, and we just have to look at the pigmentation issue. Yes, we're going to rub the brush a lot, or if I put it and we can already see a beautiful color, goodbye. And we're going to see what's going to be useful throughout the classes. I'm going to teach you. So we're going to apply here. We're going to use this shorter brush that's special for blush. And I'm going to apply in this region that I want to darken, which is the area I want to camouflage, to reduce this bone a bit so that it gives the impression that this bone protrudes from the face, so that we can achieve a more lifty effect. So next we are going to apply this on this V here. This is our 100. I am going to apply our bronzing powder. With the brush giving light touches, we are going to deposit the product, and there we are going to remove a mark. We are going to put the brush, and if they don't know how to make that move to apply the brush, this is the move to blend to diffuse. I remind you that we always have to go along the imaginary line. It goes from the start of our ear to the lip. So we bring it here. A cross line is ideal. We must not go below this line. We have to stay within our contour. Our blush should remain, always give, this line goes up, never down. So we're going to give that droopy cheek effect, a lot of cheek. So we're going to be careful with the products we're going to apply in this area. And I'm going to follow here the marking of my brush, which is an imaginary transverse line that we pass on our face. It needs to stay, the product needs to stay on top of this bone here. If this is very low, it will give the impression that your cheek is bigger and it will not give a nice effect. So we come here and apply it in the same way. Yes, do you have any questions too? We're going to use that simple process of making the peak. You're going to make the peak and you're going to see it's going to mark every line you can imagine, like this. Oh, I'm going to call here. And that's the region where we need to apply the contour and our blush. If I go under that line, I am going to have the opposite effect. I am going to give an effect. I'm going to enhance that region and I'm going to make that region much more visible. That's not what we intend. And there, I'm going to use the same brush, a slightly dirty brush, and I'm going to do a contour on the nose here. Remember, now it's very subtle. You see that I'm going to press here and I won't remove the base of the nose. I'm just going to apply this foundation here that is a bit more lower the brush, and I'm going to apply it here on the side of the start of the eyebrow, just to make a mess. It's quite subtle if you're noticing, nothing too strong or exaggerated, and then it got very strong. So what are we going to do when we throw it? We will be able to erase a little. So it's needless to say. And it's like, the center of the nose can't have curves. See? So be careful to leave it darker here, but the bridge of the nose has to be straight. The tip of the nose can't be red, otherwise it'll turn crooked and will have the opposite effect too. Sometimes we want to make the nose prettier. Then we're going to drop the line like this in the center, and it's going to be straight once this is done. Those people who complain a lot of turned off. So we're going to apply here with the brush in this region where we have the curve that divides here our neck from our face. Let's camouflage it a bit. But it doesn't go over the face. It's on the line that cuts downward. So we're going to apply it as if it were a shadow. Look at it like this. And when we look straight ahead, it seems there is an effect that suits a bit and leaves that area a bit more less visible. Then we come to blur that part here. Look how it tunes out, and it's no miracle, it's not plastic surgery. Look how it gave a refined look. It's a visual effect. All makeup is a visual effect. So that's why we call it highlighting, shadow, and light, because where there's light we enhance and where there's shadow we camouflage. And now we're going to come here with our translucent powder to seal the skin, and then we're going to finish with blush.